She isn't your typical keynote speaker. Her unique background includes over 14 years of investment banking, deal sourcing, and structuring experience in the capital market while nurturing various stakeholder relationships. She is the former managing director of Maritime Capital, where she led the client coverage team with additional focus on growing the global investor base. She serves on a couple of startups as board advisor. She serves on a couple of startups as board advisor, having gained qualifications in corporate governance, leadership, and strategic direction from different portfolios over the years. And she's passionate about amplifying the narrative on real estate and access to funding opportunities. She is an associate member and serves under various mentorship capacities in WIMBIZ, Women in Management and Business. Please welcome Senami Amusu.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, that was a very, very detailed profile of me. But usually I always look at myself and look at my profile, but this is me. So I have a presentation. Is it up? Let me first say a big congratulations to Lifepage Group. I was talking to Mrs. Hassan, and I remember the first time I met, he's a doctor now, I don't know why he doesn't want to use it, Dr. Oladipupo. I think that was in 2019. And usually when I go and meet founders and companies, I actually try to go and see their offices, just to have a sense of what their values are, their culture is. And Mr. Oladipupo's office had, I think it's the 4 walls were filled with books, if I remember. Not one single TV. And I've met a lot of founders. I don't know why we Nigerians love our TVs. The bigger the screens, the better. But Mr. Oladipupo's office was filled with so many books, and he could even talk about each one of them. Is a presentation up? He could talk about each one of them, and he actually even started talking about how the books that he has written and has not even written, and that was very impactful for me. And we've held on to that relationship over the years. And so let me ask a question I always ask everybody: does anybody know how many books Dr. Oladipupo has read? How many? Let me ask. Mrs. Hassan, do you know how many books Dr. Oladipupo has read? Okay, let's ask him. Do you know how many books you have written? Sorry. So let's change to written. I mean, I'm thinking 200. I don't know. Around 200. Am I right? You don't even know. He doesn't know. Wow. Okay. If the presentation is not up, I can still start. So I'm going to be just giving just what I've learned in the market and practical experiences regarding fundraising. So the topic was actually attracting FDI investors, but I know what is important to us here is how to attract foreign investors. So I would come down to that point. So I would actually start up with my opening thoughts. I would go to how to attract foreign investors, what they are looking out for. I would talk about real estate funding options, what people are doing now, what I've seen in the market. I would also talk about how technology takes center stage. And I will give you a snapshot of people that you should be watching regarding investing in real estate. It's still not up. Should I continue? Okay, so most people always expect funding to be a straight and narrow way. I want to raise debt in 6 months, I will get debt. I want to raise equity in 2 months, I'll get equity. It's never like that. It's always a mixture of so many things all at the same time. So I'm here to just tell you that it is not straight. It is always a mixture of everything. So let's start with my opening thoughts. So AVCA is the African Venture Capital Association. They actually track the amount of private funding coming into Nigeria or into Africa. And they actually, so as at 2021, let me give you some data. We had about 1.1 billion USD that came into Nigeria. And out of that amount, we had 145 deals that took place in Nigeria. And in terms of sector allocation, financials took 38% of that amount. We all know the fintech guys. So they took the most of that. IT took 16%, industrials took 12%, and communication services took 17%. So in between communication and industrials, that's where real estate fall under. So I'm speaking to the technology hub centers, logistic hubs, data centers. So we fall under that space. So that's where we are there. But what am I saying? There is money coming to Nigeria, and it is moving. And so some things are going to put at the back of our minds. So there is a pre-election year, we know. Tinubu has been making noise up and down, we know. But we're not going to be focused on that because where am I going to? In terms of investing landscape, there are different types of investors and they have different strategies. And so let me use an example. I don't know if any of us bought MTN shares when Kenny came out, 160 something. Now it's 2 something, 250 something. If I came now and said that, will you sell your MTN shares? Will you sell it? No, that's because you're a growth investor. You believe that in the next 5 years, that investment will grow. So the investors that we are focused on are growth investors. So yes, we know that the economy we have so many weak indicators. Inflation is high. Everything, the interest rate is all over the place. There's no long-term funds. But growth investors focus on that because they know that at this point, this is called the dip. This is when you come in because the next 4 years, that's when you're going to make your money. So this is the best time to come into the market. So the investors we focus on are growth investors. People are always giving all the, I call it downfall gossip, that, oh, people are taking their money out of Nigeria, people are this, but okay, I try not to say go into Christian, into my spiritual background. But as for me, and when I'm looking at funding, I say I'm focused, I don't speak to the negative, I speak to the positive. Nigeria is going to grow. We have another 4 years window coming up from the elections. And we know that anybody that buys now, is going to cash out in the next 4 years. And those are the investors that we are focused on. So yes, people are going to come into the market. So anybody that says, oh, people are taking their money out, maybe that's people that invested 5 years ago. But we are focused on the ones that are coming in now. I have 20 minutes, so let me rush now. Okay. What investors are looking out for when they are approaching you. So there are 4 key things. First one is your business model. I'm going to speak to real estate, mostly developers now. Your business model. I know when people come and say, oh, I spoke to investors, they say they don't do real estate. And I'll tell you why. Real estate has a flat revenue, meaning that when you're going to say we're going to make money, you're only going to make money from rental income, which is flat. You cannot increase it every year. So maybe 1 to 5 years, the rental income is straight. So what they're looking for now is they're looking for how to be innovative with your business model. How can you show revenue that is beyond rental income? And I think Mr. Alda spoke about it. How can you innovate beyond rental income? So what I'm seeing now for small mini estates, you know that the power side, you can actually sublet to any of the mini grid guys. And instead of them giving you a flat rate, why don't you see how you can negotiate maybe a medium rent, then an incremental on the energy use. So as many people are coming to the estates, you get incremental income. So when you're speaking to an investor and you say, oh, I have rental income plus incremental income from the energy use, that is innovation. But when you come and say you have a flat rental income, then the conversation is already flat is already discouraged from that. The next one is your track record. Mr. Ada talked about that. You need to track your money. How much are you making? How much are you losing? What is your cost? What is the land cost? You need to track it. So don't come and say, oh, it's in a paper somewhere. Preferably something that is documented that they can see. So that is very important regarding track record. So for investors, you have to show them your business model beyond rental revenue, your track record, that is your cash flows being measured properly. Then your governance. I would want to add culture to that. People always say governance, but I'll say governance and culture. We've seen how the market is reacting to the culture of leadership right now. If I use a recent case, which is the horrible bosses saga on Twitter, and it's something that investors are looking at. How is your leadership culture? Are you inclusive? Do you encourage development? Do you inspire your people to think beyond you, to have innovative thoughts, to even veto your decisions? So if your employees cannot veto your decisions, then how will they board that you now veto your decisions? So those sort of things are what they are looking out for. And it's not in any paper, it's how they interact with your staff. Last one is your capital structure. So what we see now is debt. What I mean by debt is that we Nigerians, I think we like holding onto our company. So is our birthright, which is fine. But what we've seen now is that a lot of investors are more skewed towards debt instruments rather than equity because they see a lot of ownership issues coming out of discussions with founders. So those are the 4 major areas: business model, track record, governance and culture, and your capital structure, which is how much debt you are taking into the company. So that is some of the things they are looking for. Now we're going to go to the funding options that I'm seeing. So the first one is, I think it's 5. The first one is, I call it project investing or direct investing. So what your funding options are where you look within your cost requirements, what it takes to set up this your business or to set up this real estate platform. And you look for the ones that is most variable. Variable means that FX affects it, interest rate affects it, and you see how you can fund that. So you reach out to investors and say, you know what, so you're speaking from an informed decision. So you have looked at everything in your cost profile and you believe that this part of your business, so let me use an example, say sanitary wares. You're building a multi-story apartment complex, and so the sanitary wares are the most expensive part and it's highly impacted by FX and interest rates. So you pull that component out and you do a contractor financing, and you say, go and meet investors and say, you'd like to just finance this element because you know that it's going to increase in 3 years and your building won't be ready till another 2 years. So that shows that, okay, you understand what your cost flow is. I understand how to finance. Oh, okay, we've done this. The second slide, please. So that's the first one, which is contractor financing. The second thing that we see is crowdfunding, where you leverage on your family and friends and people in diaspora to fund your real estate project. So ROI is defined. You don't have to set up your own crowdfunding sites. There are other real estate crowdfunding sites that are open right now. So you have to leverage on them and see how you can bring your project on this. What I say about this is that, first of all, you need to tap into the key source of funding, which is integrity and family and friends. If your family and friends cannot fund you, then an external investors would hesitate a little bit. So that's for that. So then there is blended finance, which a lot of real estate firms are looking at now. First of all, is a commercial paper, which is 270 days. It's a short-term instrument. So they use that for spontaneous funding, anything you want to do within 1 to 2 years. And they refinance. Then there's the bonds. And you can do a sukuk private placement. What we also see is that DFI funding is coming to this space. Shelter Afrique raised a 46 billion naira bond, which they want to on-lend, which is a debt they want to on-lend. Another thing that we see for funding options, which you can use. So I'm giving you different options that you can use for your funding your real estate project, is the joint venture. I think we touched on this a little bit from what Mr. Odikos talked about earlier. Joint venture means that you look at people within your network that you can leverage on. They can bring different things on ground. So what we see is that people are looking to cooperatives now. A lot of cooperatives have landed properties that are just laying idle. So tap into your cooperative, maybe your secondary school cooperative or alumni, who has land that you can all put together, who has different resources, you can all come together and create a business out of that. So what I'm saying is that leverage on your existing network, especially cooperatives and your alumni. So that's for joint ventures. So people bring in even non-cash items, building materials. If somebody is a distributor for building materials, somebody has land, you have the technical expertise, you all come together and you create this entity. So that's for that. Then we see real estate investment platform, which is REITs or digitized assets. Pretty much I always call it a pizza, where we all put all our assets together and people pay for a slice of it. And so that's what people are doing now. In terms of what I see more of is between the blended debt finance and the joint ventures. So what I'm saying is that if you are looking for funding for your business, yes, you want to reach out to private investors, but first of all, tap within your network. Everybody has their alumni on their phones. Put out the post now that you're looking for someone that has land or someone that is into building materials or things like that, and see how you can do a joint venture and create an opportunity to create wealth for yourself. Next slide, please. I'm trying to move fast. You said 20 minutes. Okay. And then technology takes center stage. So when you're talking to investors, these are the 4 key things they are looking at. How are you deploying technology in your business model? Are you focusing on modular housing to reduce your housing costs? Are you focusing on using innovative technologies to reduce your energy use? So things like that. When you start thinking like that and amplifying things, investors will actually look at your project more. Then the second part is one of the key one. How do you consolidate real estate as a service platform? I touched on it earlier from the revenue model. So real estate, you need to look at real estate beyond just rental income or selling it later on. But how do you create it as a service platform? So I talked about energy, where you can take some incremental revenue from your energy use. If the estate that you build or the project you're building has more bachelors, why don't you set up a cleaning service platform where you can offer cleaning services that gives you incremental revenue and also creates a service around what you're doing. So as the bachelors increase, then you can get more money from cleaning their apartments. Then there's digitized real estate assets. So investors look at some of these things because, again, of the culture of the environment that we are in now. Then data centers and logistics hubs. This is just because we have the e-commerce growing, and so people are leveraging on the consistent cash flows from e-commerce. Next slide. Okay, so these are the people that we should be looking out for in terms of investors. I would give you a snapshot and so that we can, I'll try to capture everybody as much as possible. So what I did was people that have raised funds that they want to on-lend to real estate. So these are people that I've captured. So InfoCredit has a guarantee product that's, if you're raising money in the capital market, which is bonds or commercial papers, you can reach out to them. Shelter Afrique just raised 46 billion naira, and they're going to raise another one in another 6 months. They haven't even deployed that amount. That means they have cash lying idle that they haven't used. UN Ops gives guarantees for if you have any imports from from the US. Family home funds affordable houses. If you have not reached out to them, do reach out to them. In terms of investment houses that are aggressive on real estate, City Homes has a lot of products for real estate investors. MBO Capital Management, I think they handle is it one of the malls? I can't remember. But they have a lot of knowledge base because funding real estate is different from funding agri, it's different from funding fintech. There's some certain expertise that is required. NBN Quest is very good with this because they've been supporting Mixstar for a while now. In terms of banks, a lot of our Nigerian banks are not used to funding real estate, so we would skew towards the people that have a lot of South African experience. So Rand Merchant Bank has that experience. Stanbic too has that experience, where they will not ask you for 70% equity contribution. Sterling Bank has a desk also for real estate. In terms of people that have funds that they have raised and they haven't deployed, so ACA, African Capital Alliance, has a real estate fund that hasn't been deployed. Rising Tide is a angel investor group of women that you can reach out to. They do weekly meetings where you can pitch your business to. Sanlam African Core Real Estate Fund. They're actually in Ghana. They've raised money for funding real estate. They haven't done any deal in Nigeria yet, but because I've showed you the data, remember I said that this is the deep, people want to come in now. They are looking at coming into Nigeria. Verod Capital has some funds that they've raised. So pretty much everybody under private equity also haven't deployed the money that they've raised because they are watching the market and this is the best time to come in. In terms of crowdfunding or JV finance, there's Enterprise Hotel, there's Cosgrove. I don't know if I missed anybody. Rise does dollar-based crowdfunding. But what I'm trying to say is that do reach out to a lot of these people, send them an email, check their website, follow them online or on Twitter, and see how they can, because they are looking for deals, and real estate is very fragmented, so it's hard for them to also find good deals, and so they are actively searching. So it also helps if you also reach out to them. I think that is the end of my presentation. If there's anything I want you to remember after this, it's just three main things. For real estate, let's look beyond rental income. Then for validating your track record, if you can afford it, try and reach out to a credit rated agency to validate that. And the third one, when speaking to investors, think about your impact and how technology is improving your business model. And I think that is all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we celebrate Her Excellency Senami Amusu? Can we celebrate her? Thank you so much. Okay, so there'll be, if you don't have a copy of the program, there'll be a panel session where there'll be room for question and answer. The reason we took questions earlier on was because Mr. Leke Alder wasn't going to be staying behind and want to take all the questions. Some of you have questions you want to ask. We'll take all our speakers very, very shortly. Professor Bale will be coming up, and after that, we have our grand mentor, Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, come up. And please write your questions because Mr. Hassan will be handling that. Questions, you could have it written so it can be faster. You could just give it to any of the ushers so that we can get there. Are you enjoying yourself at all? Could you just stand up for a few minutes and just straighten your leg because we have you want to stand? You want to go for a break? Yeah, we'll break. We'll not be able to break up. Yeah.